Welcome, Chuggalos. Once again, it's day five. Day five, and I'm still alive. It's Friday. It's a good day. It's good to be on day five of the week. It's good to be on day five of the Brew Crew podcast, special edition of the Advent Calendar 2025. Day five. That's right, Chuggalos. Who's with me on this? I'm stoked. What a great opening 4 days it's been, and really excited about the days yet to come. But today we have a little special brew. I say that almost every day, but it's been true, hasn't it? Uh, really have a special brew today. A brew that I've not always been fond of, I might say. It is a French style Saison. Um, which has typically been kind of fruity. Typically in the French style, it's fruity. It's a little sour. Can be spicy. All the things that, and by the way, they've been making saisons for a long time, couple hundred years, which is like a couple decades in our country, which is a really long time for you young folks out there. Oh my God, a couple of decades. I'm just kidding. But for real, they've been making saisons for, I don't know, a couple hundred years in France. And there's some really special connections that this particular beer has with perhaps another beer that we've already had in the podcast so far. So let's see if we can draw any parallels with it, or if none exist at all. But a saison, I'm going to give some little beer education, I think. You guys that have been with us in the podcast for the last 4 years, you know, kind of this is what my thing is. But I love getting into the science of the beer and what makes beer tick, what makes beers different than other beers, the regions and the countries that they're from, and the style of beers that those countries like to make, and the ingredients that they use to make that style, and how those are different than, other styles, all that kind of stuff. So I love to get in depth and into it, and kind of lean on my brew making, brewmeister, homebrew experience over the years to kind of lean in and talk about what makes things tick. So I'm going to get into it. But right now, that is it. It's When the Morning Comes by Perennial Brewery. And Artisan Ales, Perennial Artisan Ales. Artisan. Because everything's got to be artisan, doesn't it? It's got to be. Look at this phone. Isn't it an artisan phone? Wow. Look at this glass. Oh, it's an artisan glass. Everything is artisan, which means nothing is artisan. But hey, it's the nouveau word for cool or something, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what makes this thing tick. There's the can art. It's kind of a dark brown can with like a little window. When the morning comes, it gets us the morning sunlight shining in the window. And I'm looking forward to getting some shut-eye tonight. It's been a long week. And the morning sun will come, and I'll look through it, and I probably won't be praising it when it comes in the morning. Go away, I want to sleep a little longer. But nonetheless, it is a good day when you wake up. At my age, I guess. It's a good day to wake up and breathe the air again and get another chance to take another swing at it. But anyway, that's it for can art. Not really much there. 5.5% on this Saison, which, for those of you who care or are interested in knowing, that's right in the sweet spot of what a Saison should be. Anywhere between 4.3 and 6.5, 6.6, something like that. So pretty normal, pretty common. The couple of traits about a Saison are they're supposed to be a little lighter in color, a little lighter to drink, but have a really crisp finish to it. So it'll and they're highly carbonated. Usually they're highly carbonated, which isn't one of my favorite things. I like a little carbonation that's nice and tight, naturally fermented carbonation, not artificial. But we'll see what this one turns out to be. I just cracked it. I see some foam coming out. That's a good sign. But I'll tell you in a minute. I kind of alluded to. Let's see what the pour looks like. I alluded to the fact that I haven't always loved saisons. Um, Saison is French for season. Wow, I'm a rocket scientist now. And they used to brew this type of beer specifically for farmhouse in the farmhouse style for farmhouse hands that were doing work out in the fields. Something crisp and refreshing, something lighter, and something that goes down easy that farm hands can drink quickly when they're thirsty after a long day's hard work out in the fields or tending to the livestock or what have you. Here's the interesting thing about this beer. Well, let's get a first taste first, shall we? I'm coming down with some, so I'm not smelling particularly well. That didn't come out right. My smeller isn't working particularly well. How's that? It's got that kind of bready smell to it, like bread. That's yeast. Yeah, there's something else in there that's very common to this particular style of beer. Saisons, French saisons are interesting because, yeah, it's kind of a French style, but the saison is very heavily yeast oriented instead of hops oriented. And they depend on a special kind of yeast that is only native to French Belgium. What does that sound? Haven't we had a Belgian beer already? Yes. Why, yes, Phil, we have. But the yeast in the Belgian beer, and because the beer is so light, the beer style is made so that the yeast imparts a lot of esters and phenols. We've talked about esters before, and phenols are similar. They're just flavonoids that aren't really what they smell like they are or taste like they are, but they have the same sort of ester makeup that those particular things that they represent are. So when we smell it, we go, wow, that's citrusy. Lemon, orange, pear, tropical fruit, maybe stone fruit. Stone fruit is a big one with the yeast. And this yeast is native to French Belgium. So saisons are made with the yeast not from France, but from Belgium. French-speaking Belgium, the French-speaking portion of Belgium. So, but you may be, so I was like, oh yeah, now I know where I've smelled and tasted this recently. Our beautiful Belgian beer that we had earlier in the podcast is a beer that is remarkably. I'm gonna expect that it's remarkably similar because it was a Belgian beer, and they also used the same type of. They used the same type of. They used the same exact yeast exactly to portray all those same things, right? So the esters that you're trying to get out of it are fruity, stone fruit, citrus fruit, and to get a really, it sometimes imparts kind of a bit of a metallic finish on it. Just the way the yeast is there. It's not totally unpleasant, but it hasn't always been my choice. But I think of these as almost like the Belgian beer that we had, and also this beer is very. These are probably some of the earliest progenitors, ancestors of sours, fruit sours and tarts, because they have very similar characteristics in terms of their flavor profile. Without as much fruit in there, obviously it's mostly yeast driven, but you still get those kind of overtones that people like and that create kind of this summertime kind of beer. and a lighter beer you can drink more quickly. It has some fruit esters in it. It's a little taste almost fruity, and baker's bread and stuff. So anyway, let's give it a try and see what it's like. Yep. Yeah, it's got a distinctive flavor profile to it. It is not a lager. It's got similar characteristics to a lager, but it's actually an ale. Differences being that ale yeast is ferments on the top, from the top down, and lager yeast ferments from the bottom up. So it's quite a difference in terms of how it comes out, but it's a very similar profile. Now I'm tasting a lot of wow, I taste a lot of grapefruit in there on the finish. There's got definitely a tart, tangy grapefruit kind of style of flavor that I'm tasting. Good thing my tongue and taste buds are still working because my nose isn't working. I'm a little stuffed up today. Um, it's very good. I like it. I like it. It's definitely got a little bit of a bitter finish to it, which in part, I mean, I don't know what they used on in this Perennial used on this, but what's mostly used in saisons are noble hops, which you find all over the place. Noble hops are very common. They're used worldwide, used in the States. Kind of that's not a new beer, but a kind of a famous American beer that uses noble hops and kind of brought them back into the forefront is Samuel Adams. They use it for their lager, their famous lager that everybody buys. It's got a bitter character to it, a bit of a bitter finish to it, and kind of a stronger hop flavor. But it doesn't overpower or kill this beer in any way, I don't think, in my opinion. It is pretty carbonated, but the carbonation is nice. It's not bad. It's not, all frothy and it just blows off the top. The head's uh, pretty thick, and um, it's sustaining. Over time. It's just this little head of tight bubbles in there. So it's nice. It's creamy. It's nice. I can see why they like it there. It's a great light beer. It's kind of not necessarily seasonal for us here in Ohio when there's winter outside. It's 21 degrees outside. But still, even so, it's kind of nice to drink this. I'm enjoying this beer. I'm enjoying this beer a lot. Um, and there's direct parallels between this and any other Belgian beer that you drink because of the yeast and the way they make the beer. Even though it's an ale, and it's got a beautiful color to it. It's a beautiful golden color. It's a little bit hazy. I'm not sure if that's chill haze. Like I said yesterday, I don't know if it's chill haze or whether it's actually meant to be hazy. But I don't believe there's a lot of adjuncts in there. I don't think they stick fruit in saison or whatever. Not typically, anyway. They let the yeast do the talking. So where we as Americans let the hops do the talking, they kind of let the yeast do the talking, and the yeast profile stand out. So you can't smother yeast with too much flavor that comes from elsewhere, right? You can't overhop it, or you'll just kill it. You'll just kill the flavor of this, and it'll end up being just a really bitter light ale. So very different kind of a style of beer. We typically have one of these. I think we've had a saison in just about every advent calendar that I can remember. I'll have to go back and look. I think we had one last year for sure. Excuse me. I think we had one last year for sure, but it wasn't all that remarkable to me. This is a better example of a saison. I like the saison a lot. Mm, that's a good pour. That's a good pour. It's well balanced. It's really got a nice balance to it. It's got some malty sweetness up front that I like. It's kind of rare that you have a light ale like this. Even our American pale ales, while they're light like this in color, we typically tend to hop the hell out of them. So they're a lot more kind of the West Coast, you know, um, in your face kind of hop profile, which smothers the kind of smothers the um, delicate nature of the beer and the yeast and all the goodness that's going on inside. It's not meant to be a heavy hitting, home run hitting kind of a beer. It is meant to be a more subtle beer, a crisp beer, a refreshing beer, a summer beer, almost like a Hefeweizen. But I tell you what, I don't like Hefeweizen at all. I would prefer a Saison any day over a Hefeweizen. Now, given that, between that and a German lager that like we had on day two, that'd be a tough call. But this actually has that lager was exceptionally well made for a lager. I gave it a pretty good score, a solid score. But this beer is more interesting than that beer is, just because of the other things that are going on in there that provide some additional complexity and depth in the flavor of it. So liking it a lot, liking it a lot. I think Svill's about ready to score it. Mm. Matt, better Matt, you did a hell of a job this year with these beers. This is the fifth day in a row, and I've liked every one of them. Everyone's good. Uh, Man, yeah, you did a great job this year of being our beer selector. So thank you very much to Matt and Barrel House in general, of course, but outstanding, stellar job. That was just, that's another great beer. Another great beer. That's a 4.0 for me. It just, it's a great example of a Saison. Just an excellent example of a Saison. I haven't tasted one that tastes better than this. I don't know, maybe ever. And like I said, I haven't really had a history of being a saison drinker, but I think in an odd way, opening up opening up my palate to beers that are like fruit tarts and sours, that are different kinds of beers, has really helped me appreciate other beers as well. Strangely enough, maybe not strangely, maybe that's just hey, you know, when you start broadening your palate, it's like food, right? I know a lot of kids that grow up and they have a very kind of monolithic kind of palate for what they like and what they don't like as far as food goes. And how sad, right? And sometimes they grow out of that because as they become teenagers or young adults, they expand their palate by starting to try new things. Maybe they graduate from school and they go away to college in a big city and they have lots of different, restaurant opportunities they didn't have before of all different types of cuisine. Maybe when they graduate from college, they get their first job, they suddenly have an income. They can suddenly actually try some new things in the city where they reside and work at. I know that was the case for me when I first graduated from college. I moved to Chicago. I lived there for about 7.5 years. Enjoyed the heck out of it. I love Chicago, and talk about a great city for foodies. Um, it was terrific, and I learned so much more about all the different styles of food from all over the world. Just living in Chicago and being exposed to that, and I think the same is true about beer, and probably wine too. It's coming. Steve, it's coming. Stev's dad, it's coming, man. We're doing it. It's gonna happen. Anyway, I give this beer an enthusiastic thumbs up from SFIL, and I give it a 4.0 rating. That's the second beer in a row. I think that I'd give it a 4.0 to, and yeah, no, actually, yesterday I didn't. Did I? It was 3.75 yesterday, or was it? I can't remember now. It was just yesterday. What the heck? No, that was the s'more with JT here, and I gave it a 3.75. I would have given it a 4 if they would have just called it a cream ale. Now I do remember. Um, yeah, the 4.0 was for the Belgian ale. Um, so maybe not surprising. It's so weird, guys. I'm telling you, I drank Belgian ales. I remember I was first introduced by a guy, a friend of mine in England, when I was going to school over there. Um, and he was all it's the rage and everything because there's some folks over there that really love the French and they think everything in French is good and all that stuff. And I tried it and I just couldn't stand the Saison. And how far we've come, a long ways, baby. So love it. Would definitely drink it again. It's really almost a daily drinker. It's clean. It's everything that a saison is supposed to be. In the very best sense. It's refreshing. It's crisp. It's clean. Um, the hops are give it a really nice little bite right at the end, but not overpowering the flavor at all. It doesn't put too much bitterness on your tongue before you have a chance to taste it. You have malty goodness in there, and it's wide open for the yeast to do its thing. Now, I tasted some citrus in there. Uh, I tasted grapefruit, not so much orange, a little lemon zest, and I think a little tangerine. I got a little of that mineral flavor on the back end, a little flinty mineral flavor, which is also from the yeast, by the way. I think it also has to do with the water too. If it's especially brewed in Belgium, there's a specific flavor profile that you always taste in Belgian beers, lagers and ales, and and I've tried to pinpoint it for years, and the only thing I can come up with is water and the yeast. The yeast is kind of different and special, but that's it for me. I'm going to sneeze again, so I'm going to finish this before I sneeze. That's it from SFIL, day 5, in the tank, 4.0. I give this Saison from Perennial Artisan Ales when the morning comes. 4.0. Wow. So in the first 5 days, 2 4.0s. You know, I purposely started this journey this time kind of forcing myself not to go there because I gave the first beer, I think, a 3.5 and the second one 3.75. And because I was like, gosh, I got to leave, we got 24 days of this. I got to leave some headroom for those of you who are sound people or mixers or whatever, you get what that is. You need some headspace or headroom for the instrument and the music to go to, right? You don't want to just start off at a high decibel level because you got nowhere to go. It won't be dynamic. Your sound won't be dynamic. The same is true with this. You can't just start off or can you? Um, you need some headroom because I think there's going to be some phenomenal beers, some beers that are just going to blow our minds. There was for me last year, I can tell you that. Some beers that I didn't expect to like at all, not in my style, not in my groove at all, and I ended up loving them. There's a slushy by Slushy XXL, I think particularly, I remember that one. There were a couple of slushies that, one was called the smoothie, and I'll be damned if it didn't taste like a berry smoothie. It was so good. Didn't remind me of a beer at all, but boy, was it good. Um, I'm looking forward to those kinds of experiences for all of us ahead. So if you're not if you're a chuggalo and in the Advent calendar with us, wow, It's been a great 5 days. The first week has been just killer. I can't remember an advent calendar where we had this many good beers right up front. Um, Solid beers, every one of them. I can't think of a one of them that I would, put in below a three for sure. They're all 3.5s and above for me so far. And I've always kind of tried to check myself to make sure I'm not grade inflationing, these beers. But I truly do love them, and for all the reasons that I stated. And I go into a little detail and depth just to kind of explain myself to everyone as to why I think that's a good beer, a really great beer, an exceptional beer, or whatever, or a crappy beer. Um, so for me, it's a 4. And I'm going to keep saying that. So I'm just, now we're at 25 minutes, and I've gone probably 10 minutes over what I needed to just get my point across because I'm a little verbose. Yeah, I know. I know. Thanks for sticking with me, though, Chuggalos. Love you all. Can't wait to see you on the 13th. That's going to be so much fun. And until then, we'll see you tomorrow on day 6 and see what the day brings. Darn it. See, I didn't get off in time. Well, that's it for me. Have a great evening and have a great sleep. And I hope you guys have a great day tomorrow. We'll catch up with you tomorrow on day 6. SFIL signing off.